All right, I'm going to go ahead and get started right now. So thank you everybody for joining the webinar today. Today we're going to be going over what to expect as an influencer. So I'll be going over all things influencer related, how to get started, what to expect when you do get started, and how campaigns work. And again, if you have any questions at any point, please feel free to send them in the chat and I will answer them as we go along. All right, so to start with, my name is Rowan and I am going to be your presenter for today. I've been working at Embold for over a year now, and I work in the marketing and communications component of the company, and I do work a lot with campaign management. So if you have been with Embold in the past and you worked on previous campaigns, we've probably worked together. And if not, then I'm really excited for you to start your influencer journey with us. So just a quick intro to influencer marketing. What influencer marketing is exactly what you as an influencer do. So brands have started to use influencer marketing recently because studies show that your followers actually trust peers over advertisements. So people are more likely to be engaged with advertisements when it comes from an influencer than if they were traditionally to see it on their feed. So it's a really great way for for advertisers to get their message across. And so influencers facilitate the content creation and distribution process, and it's a very creative experience because each influencer is very unique in their own way in what they create. So it really allows for fresh content from each individual influencer. So just really quickly, I want to go over Embold's values. So our mission is to make influencer marketing simplified, affordable, and efficient. So this goes both ways for the client and for the influencers. Specifically, we are influencer focused, so we are always trying to ensure that influencers have the best experience possible when working with our clients and at Embold. So whatever the problem, we're always here to help. We always want to make sure that this is as seamless as possible for you. And then our vision is to bring a solution to the market that is very affordable and easy for influencer marketing. So we hope we're doing that on the influencer side of things as well. We're trying to facilitate collaborations for you guys where they're very simple, easy to access, and very straightforward. So in the market currently, there are different solutions for influencer marketing, and one of them is influencer agencies. So if you are an influencer currently and you've been looking around, you've probably come across influencer agencies. So this is a more expensive solution. They will take a percentage of your compensation when you work with them. So the compensation that you see is not the compensation that you get. Typically, they have a percentage of 10, 20, 30%, depending on the agency. So that does take a portion of your proceeds, which is unfortunate. And typically they work with macro influencers, so influencers with a higher following count. So it can be harder if you are just starting out as an influencer for you to get those collaboration opportunities. Another way influencer marketing is being done in the current market is manually in-house by brands. So this can be difficult on your end as an influencer because it can be harder to negotiate compensation because there's nobody else advocating for you. You're your own personal advocate. So it is a little bit more difficult to get your point across and your own personal value across. It's also time consuming because you do spend a lot of time going back and forth and your needs are most likely not all met, if any. Typically, it's what the brand wants over what you want. So that it's a little bit more of a difficult process to go around. And then lastly are influencer platforms. So Embold is an influencer platform, but there are other platforms in the marketplace, and those ones take a percentage of your compensation, similar to influencer agencies. So they will have hidden service fees within their platform. So once you sign up, you'll find out that, when you work with a brand and collaborate with them, they will also take a portion of your compensation. And a lot of them have a very few Canadian influencer opportunities. So not the greatest if you are based in Canada. So why choose Embold? Pretty straightforward here. We are a local Canadian company and we really focus on ensuring our Canadian influencers are given the best experience possible as an influencer. And we are full of young individuals, so we're always on the go trying to find new, faster, better solutions for influencers, and we want to make sure that the experience is as easy as possible for you. At Embold, there are absolutely no requirements to sign up for any campaigns. So if there's a campaign that you've been invited to, you do not have any obligation to accept that invitation. And lastly, we have guaranteed payouts, so you can know that your work will always be compensated. Oh, not on here is actually, we do not take any percentage of your compensation either. So what you see is what you get. If you agree on a price with a client, that is the full amount that you will receive. So at Embold, we simplify influencer marketing for Canadians. We are focused only with Canadian influencers, but we do work with a variety of brands. So we work with brands outside of Canada, but their focus is on reaching a Canadian market. So we are just a very accessible platform for both influencers and clients, which is why our platform is always full of collaboration opportunities. So we have a very big roster of influencers right now, and these are just some of the data points that are collected when you do sign up as an influencer. So some of the big ones here are audience location, or actually influencer location is the most important one, influencer interest, and the type of content that you post. Those are the three big ones that I really recommend you include when you are creating your profile, because a lot of the times we do filter for influencers based off of geographic region. So if you don't have a city put into your influencer bio, it will be harder for you to find those collaboration opportunities. And a lot of times clients do like to search for influencers based off of the type of content that they post or their personal interests, because this just helps align with the brand image. They will understand who you are as a person a little bit better, and then that way they can filter based off of these. So these things all at the bottom, the data collected, these are all different filtering options that we have on the platform for the client to see. But again, I just do recommend including type of content, influencer interests, and your geographic region. So Embold is the ultimate influencer platform, and we have countless exclusive collaboration opportunities and benefits when you sign up with us. It's really great for all of our influencers. There are always collaborations on the platform, and you can either apply to campaigns or you'll be directly invited to campaigns by the client. So now that I've given you a brief rundown of influencer marketing at Embold, I did want to run through the campaign process. So this can be a bit overwhelming when you first get started if you've never done a campaign before. And so this is just how the campaign process works when you are an Embold influencer. So first things first is to create a profile. So if you are not already part of the Embold platform, you would just sign up as an Embold influencer and create your influencer bio. So again, like I mentioned, once you've set everything up, it's really important to include your geographic location, type of content that you have, and influencer interests. Those are really important. And I also really recommend including an influencer bio. A lot of the times clients are searching for influencers, and because they aren't speaking with you directly face to face, they don't really get that personal interaction. So the bio is a great way to give that more personalized touch to your account, and this can help the client get to know you a little bit better. So once you've set up your profile, the next thing you can do is wait for invites. There are always campaign opportunities on the platform. So some campaigns may have already been started. So if you just wait a few days, there's probably going to be another one that pops up right away. So on the platform, there are two ways that you can have access to collaboration opportunities. The first way is through the marketplace. When you go on the marketplace, only collaborations that appear in your geographic location will be there. So like I mentioned, it's important to include your influencer location when you're creating your profile. So if you don't have an influencer location there, then nothing will show up in your actual marketplace because you don't have anything to cross-reference between the two. So that's why we really recommend also including your location for that reason. And also just to keep in mind, if you are if there's a campaign that is Canada-wide, it will not show up in the marketplace. This is just because the marketplace is specific to, let's say they're looking for influencers in Toronto. If your location is set to Toronto, then that campaign will show up for you. And then the second way that you can have access to campaign opportunities is to be directly invited to a campaign by the client themselves. So a lot of the times clients will filter through our roster and they will personally invite influencers to a campaign. So once you've been invited to a campaign or applied to a campaign, the next step is to review. So it's really important that you review the campaign requirements and make sure that this fits with your own personal brand. So we don't want you to be accepting any campaign opportunities or applying to any campaign opportunities that don't really align with who you are as an influencer. You wouldn't want to be working with a company that doesn't follow with your current content that you're posting. So an example could be if you are a big advocate for vegan leather and cruelty-free products and things like that, it doesn't make sense to work with a company that specializes in raw leather products. So just making sure that working with brands makes sense to who you are and makes sense to what you advocate for on a day-to-day basis. So once you review the campaign, it's really important also to read all of the deliverables and make sure you understand what is expected of you. To give a quick example, a lot of our campaigns are 2 posts and 2 stories. So just making sure you know what is expected of you in each of those posts and each of those stories, and whether or not travel is included or products are included. That's another big thing to just keep an eye out for, because you don't want to be surprised later on down the road when it's time to get started with the campaign and there are things that you might have missed. So just make sure you're reading everything very carefully. Then next, after you've read everything, the next step is to answer any questions that you might see on the campaign. So typically clients will ask between 2 to 3 questions before you can submit your application or your bid for the campaign. And typically they're relatively straightforward, and they're just more so getting to know you and about the campaign. You get to know a little bit more about what's kind of expected of you in the campaign. So common questions, most importantly, all of them have this question, is what makes you a great fit for the campaign? So for this question, it doesn't have to be an essay or anything like that, just a few sentences about why you're the right fit. Right now we're working with a company that is doing orthotics. So if you're an athletic person, active person, or you're just on your feet a lot, say that. Let them get to know you a little bit better so that they can understand why you would be a great fit for that campaign. And it's really important that you are being honest and giving that more personal connection with the client, because that can always help you get that to that next step in the selection process. Another question that you might ask will be maybe campaign specific. So as an example, we did work with a investing company in the past. And so one of their questions was, do you have any prior experience with investing? Now, it's always important to answer questions very truthfully. With this particular campaign, they were asking just to get to know you a little bit better. There was no requirement to have done previous investing or anything like that. They just wanted to know who each of the influencers were and their level of experience. So whether you had said, I have a lot of experience or I have no experience, it wouldn't have changed whether or not you would be selected for the campaign. So I say that this is important to be honest, because if in this case they had needed you to have previous investing experience, if you were put into this campaign and they said to you, okay, now invest on our platform, and you didn't know how, it would cause a lot of delays on their end and on your end as well. So we just don't want that to happen, and we want everything to be running smoothly, and we don't want any confusion later on down the road. So now once you've answered the questions, make sure that you are submitting your bid for the campaign. And like I mentioned with step 3, making sure that you are reading everything and understanding the campaign requirements, because when you place your bid is for the total campaign. So it's really important to understand how many posts and how many stories are going to be required for the campaign, and then also if any products will be shipped out to you. So I always like to say adjust your compensation accordingly depending on the value of the product that is being sent out to you. Obviously, this is not something that you need to do, but a lot of times our influencers do adjust their compensation to reflect the fact that they will be receiving free products. So then make sure you are submitting your bid for the total campaign and not just for one post. And I'm emphasizing this because it is a common mistake that happens. So sometimes influencers will just submit a bid for their price for one post and not actually for the entirety of the campaign. And that also just causes confusion later down the road. So step 5 is to create content. So if you've been accepted into the campaign, congratulations. It's time to get started with content creation. So typically, you will receive an email either from a member from the Embold team or from the client themselves, kind of welcoming you to the campaign, and then also outlining what is expected of you and the deadlines that are required. The deadlines are also available on the platform. You'll be able to see them when you apply to a campaign, but it's just nice, to get that extra reminder later on. So when you're creating content, feel free to refer back to the platform at any point on the platform. We'll have the campaign brief that you read, all the requirements. So go back and refer to that if you're ever stuck. And there's also suggestions for content on the platform. So when you are on the platform, we have some photos that we put up that can help guide you in the right direction. But if you need a little bit more help, feel free to reach out. We're always here to help. We're always willing to help you find the right kind of inspiration. We want to make sure that you understand what is expected of you. So once you know what is expected and you're ready to get rolling, start creating that content. The most exciting part about being an influencer is that you do get to create that unique content. So make sure you're really putting your authentic touch on every single piece of content that you make. And it really, clients really love it. They love to see how unique each influencer is. So next, after content creation, is campaign reporting. So once the campaign is done and you've posted all of the required content for the campaign, this is when you send in your analytics. So we would just require you to send in screenshots of the analytics for your posts and for your stories. And once we receive those analytics, you'll be paid out for the campaign immediately. So your payment is processed right away, and all of our payouts are done within 2 weeks. So they're done every other Friday. And so it's just a really quick, after you send in your analytics, we get everything rolling from there. So we have a few tips here for selecting campaigns. Number one, I've mentioned this before, is making sure that you're working on campaigns that align with your own personal values. It's just really important that you are working with campaigns that make sense to you. Don't ever feel pressured to accept a campaign or work with a brand, because there's no obligation to you. You will not be penalized if you decline an offer. We want you to be working with things and people that make sense to you. And then number 2 is making sure that the brands you are working with are a natural extension of your own personal brand. So again, it ties in with number 1, just making sure it's authentic and true to who you are. Number 3 is making sure you have no conflicts of interest. So before you apply to the campaign, in the brief and when there's the questions and when you're submitting your bid, we do have a service agreement for all of our influencers. The standard service agreement does say that you cannot work with competitors 30 days before or 30 days after a campaign begins. But their clients can also adjust the terms of the service agreement. So if they do change any terms of the service agreement, it will be at the very bottom. So just making sure you're reading that and making sure you have no conflicts of interest. If you think that you might have a conflict of interest, please do not hesitate to reach out. We would be more than happy to help and facilitate the communication with the client for you and make sure that everything is good to go. And then lastly is the 80-20 rule. So the 80-20 rule states that you should have 80% of your content, natural, organic content that you create about yourself, about your life, about the natural, normal things that you are posting on your account. And then 20% of your content should be for paid collaborations. So you don't want to overwhelm your followers with too many collaborations, because it will also make your follower count, engagement, all of that stuff decrease. And so the engagement on those sponsored posts will also decrease significantly. And so you don't want that. You want to make sure that all of your content looks natural and it's an extension of you, so that the 80-20 rule helps to make that a little bit more organic as well. So some requirements for a successful campaign is that you must follow all of the compliance rules listed by Instagram. This is pretty straightforward, honestly. Just making sure that you're disclosing that each post that is a sponsored post, make sure that you're disclosing that it is sponsored, because this will go against Instagram guidelines if you do not include that. So it's very simple. You can include something like #ad or #sponsored, something like that. Very quick, simple. It doesn't have to be, this is a sponsored post, nothing like that. It just has to be clear to your followers that this isn't content that you are promoting without being compensated for. And then next is really important, tag the brand in the photo, in the caption, and depending on if this is a requirement on their end, they might ask you to include a branded sponsor post. So just when you're creating your content or when you're posting your content, you'll see it there where you can add a branded content sponsor. And then next is to follow the campaign schedule. This is really important to make sure that everything is on track, because a lot of campaigns have a hard deadline. So we need to make sure content is put out before then. Of course, we understand that things come up and sometimes you might not be able to submit your content for review in time, or you might have other collaborations, so you can't post on a certain day. Don't hesitate to reach out to us. We are always here to help you. And more often than not, we are able to work around your schedule, and we're here to find a solution that works for both you and the client. And then lastly is making sure you're submitting your analytics. Like I mentioned before, we unfortunately cannot pay you out until your analytics are submitted, because this is the last requirement for the campaign process. So once that's submit, then we are able to process your payment. And so I just want to quickly go over some communication with our team and with the client. So it's really important when you are a part of a campaign to stay up to date, making sure that you check your emails regularly and the campaign regularly for any updates. There is a view all chat when you're on the platform under your campaign. So that is just a way to communicate with everyone. So take a look there. You do also receive a text and an email if you receive a message over the platform. So mainly just making sure you're monitoring your emails, because we might also send you an email externally. So just making sure you're monitoring your social for our emails. And then next is keeping it professional. You don't know whether a client is going to want to work with you in the future. So if you keep it professional, it's a great way to get your foot in the door. If you're respectful and they enjoy working with you, they often come back to us and ask us to specifically bring certain influencers onto that campaign because they enjoyed working with them so much. So make sure that everything is formal, polite, respectful, and it's just a great way to maintain those relations. And then lastly is address any problems as they arise. If you come across any issues, please do not hesitate to reach out. We are always here to help you, and we want to help you resolve the problem as soon as possible. If you ever have any issues, we're available to you at any time to help you out. And then this is just a quick slide about suggested pricing. I do get a lot of questions about this, and so I thought it would be really helpful to kind of give you a quick rundown on this. So when you do sign up on the platform, or if you are currently on the platform, you may notice that there is a part where it says suggested pricing. So there's a suggested pricing and then your own personal compensation. The suggested pricing is typically there for influencers who are just new to influencer marketing and are just starting out and aren't really sure where they should put their price point at. The suggested pricing takes a look at your engagement and your follower count, and based off of the algorithm, creates a pricing for your story posts and for your feed posts. Now, a lot of our influencers, as they work on collaboration opportunities and get to know a little bit more about influencer marketing, they adjust their compensation accordingly. And of course, that is so smart. Always make sure you're updating things as you learn. So when you're working on campaigns, you might realize, oh, I think that this particular campaign will take this amount of time, so this increases my value by this much, and so I deserve to be compensated this much for a campaign. Always make sure you're putting a price that you feel comfortable with, because we never want you to be undercutting yourself on any campaigns. So just really quickly, as you can see here, the suggested pricing is broken down into 3 different follower counts. So right here on the lower end, these are our nano influencers. So our nano influencers will have typically between 100 to 3,000 followers. And so as you can see here, they have a low follower count, but a high engagement rate. So their pricing is based off of their follower count and engagement rate. But as you increase in follower count, your pricing will also increase. It's more dependent on your follower count, if that makes sense. But if you have a high follower count and a high engagement rate, your pricing will be higher. Your suggested pricing will be higher than somebody who has a high follower count and low engagement rate. So as you can see here, as you move up the ranks, so from nano influencer, micro influencer to macro influencer, follower count does increase, but engagement rate decreases. And this is completely normal. So don't be alarmed if, as you gain more followers, you're starting to notice that your engagement rate is decreasing. This is completely normal. So don't worry about that. So this is just a quick run through of the payment process. So because we do get a lot of questions about this as well, the first step is to create that content for your campaign, and then make sure you are posting all of the required content for the campaign. If you do not post all of your posts or all of your stories, we unfortunately cannot compensate you for the campaign until everything is up and posted. And then next is to make sure that you are submitting content analytics. Just because this is the last step of the process, we do need you to submit analytics before we can process your payment. And so content rights is another big thing. So Embold and the client, so us and the client, will have the right to repost any of your content as long as we're giving you credit for it. So whether that be tagging you in the photo itself or in the caption, we have the right to do that as long as we're not using it in any promotional advertising. So Embold and the client is not allowed to use any of your content in any promotional ads. So any paid ads or anything like that, we can't use your content unless we discuss it with you and purchase the rights of the photo from you. So of course, if we want to use it in advertising, we will do that by reaching out to you first. We can't directly use your content. But if you go take a look at our Instagram account, you'll see that we do share a lot of our influencers' content on there. We have a highlight section with all of our influencer content, and we do post within our feed influencer content as well. So these are just some past customers that we have worked with. We have so many, but these are some of our favorites. And if you want to take a look at any of the other customers we worked with in the past, feel free to click on the link here to our Instagram. On our Instagram in our highlights section, you'll see some of our clients there as well and some of the content that's going out. We currently have some campaigns live right now, so we'll be resharing some more of those that content as well. And then now I just want to open it up to any questions if anybody has any questions. Feel free to send any questions if you have any. I also have some questions that were, or one question that was submitted to me beforehand, so I just want to quickly run through that. That question was how to get started if you are a small influencer. So this influencer in particular had 100 followers, and they're just wondering how to grow their account to make sure that they can get those collaboration opportunities. And so to answer that question is to just post consistently. We really, really recommend staying on top of your posting and making sure you have fresh content going out on a regular basis is really great, really helpful to make sure that you're building that influencer base. So you're going to build your follower count, and then as you build your follower count, more brands will want to work on collaborations with you. And if you do have a small following right now and you're worried that you won't get collaboration opportunities, that is not what I'm saying. We have had influencers with, I believe, 200 or 300 followers work on campaigns. So there's always opportunities for you. It's just making sure that, you're posting on a regular schedule and you're creating content that is authentic to you. Make sure it's something that is natural for you and not something that's forced, because otherwise being an influencer won't feel fun and engaging. So just making sure you're following those. Does anybody else have any questions? I'm just gonna, I have a question here. So the question is, does the company charge a flat fee for influencers to join? So the answer is no. There are a lot of influencer marketing platforms that do have a fee for influencers to sign up, or they do have hidden service fees once you are a part of the platform. So Embold is completely free for all of our influencers to sign up on. There's no charge for you to sign up. And when you work on collaborations, there is also no hidden service fees. So whatever compensation you agree on with a client is the full amount that you will receive. We won't take anything from you, which is what makes this a unique platform from the other ones, because I know a lot of other influencer marketing platforms do take a cut from influencers or have a sign-up fee. If there's any other questions, feel free to send them out. I'm just going to share a link here. This is just to sign up on the website. This will take you directly to our website, to the sign up page. So if you're ready to start your influencer career, more than happy to help you guys get started. And my contact information is on this slide, so please feel free to send me an email if you ever have any questions, or if you're still hesitant about signing up, please let me know. I'm always here to help. If there's any other questions, I can answer those. We are at time right now, so I'm not seeing any other questions. So feel free to take a screenshot of my email and send me an email if you have any questions that come up later. But thank you so much for joining the webinar today. It was so great having you all here. If you want to reach out, please do not hesitate to reach out. We're always here to help. Okay, have a great evening.